Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking. Me too. Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
One bite of 100% Angus beef ballpark frank, and you'll say, hello, summer. Oh yeah, it's ballpark season.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The top HBCU programs in the nation come to Montgomery, Alabama's Riverwalk Stadium this May 11th through 14th for the Black College World Series. The best Black college baseball teams in the NCAA Division II and the NAIA will battle for Black baseball's ultimate pride. Games will be streamed live at www.mybcsn.net. Tickets are available now online at www.blackcollegechampionships.com.
But my beats, they are hard.
Okay, welcome to another live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. I'm Bryan Fulford. That's AD Drew. It's a pleasure to be on with you tonight. We are back. The boys are back in town in our home studios, catching up on all kinds of stuff going on today. Busy weekend, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Drew, what's going on? What's good with you, brother?
Man, we took last week off and we made that mistake once again, my brother. We should not have taken last week off because
Why you say that?
because we've got a supersized show, Brian. It's like, after Thanksgiving and Christmas and you've gained a couple inches in your waist. It's like having a size 38 waist and trying to squeeze them to a size 34 pants. That's how this show is today.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the stuff, though, a lot of the news tidbits and things of that nature didn't really kick in until after our show anyway. So we really didn't miss anything, but we're kind of getting to the table late. There's still a few leftovers and things of that nature, but we missed the food when it was hot. But we thank God for microwaves, right?
Hey, the funny thing about that, Brian, you won't believe what went out in my house Friday afternoon.
Oh, please do tell.
My microwave.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've got one of those microwaves over my oven that has the fan and everything into it. So I can't even cook on the stove top because I have no exhaust fan because it's integrated into my microwave.
I mean, what are you cooking that you can't deal with a little bit of?
A little, because I have no windows in my kitchen, so I can't open a window.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, you forgot.
But then that means you end up with the whole family room and everything. You got to like open the front door or the front windows. Yeah, I got you, man. That's What would we do? Life without a microwave? What would we do?
Ask my 22-year-old son. I'm like, son, we used to heat food before we had microwaves. You better put it in the oven.
But it takes so long.
Instead of 1 minute, it takes 10.
Well, hold on. Let me ask: do you have an air fryer?
No. I've got a George Foreman. I've got a flat grill. I've got everything but an air fryer. Everything but an air fryer.
Holy cow, man, Drew, you're doing bad. Well, hopefully, brother,
they'll be here Monday to get everything handled.
All right, there you go. Well, if you're watching our show, we want to remind you, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the BCSN or Jericho Broadcast Networks there on YouTube. If you're watching us on Facebook, wherever, make sure you are like and subscribed to that particular page. It went 3 years. My goodness, how did you survive? Anyway, making fires and stuff in the front yard. But anyway, if you, however you're watching us, we appreciate you. Just make sure to hit that like button. Let us know what you think about the show as the course of the show goes on. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1. That's the number 1. And if you have not downloaded the Jericho Broadcast Networks app, please go to your Google and Apple Play Store. Search MyJBN, MyBCSN is where you can find the app, which you can download. And whenever our shows go live, you can download the show. And so a healthy portion of shows we had from the past week. Of course, a lot of discussion that went on in various places. I know as of this weekend, the big thing going on, obviously we had a host of schools that had their spring football game going on. Of course, we had plenty of baseball, softball we'll get to in the course of this show. I know there were some tennis championships golf championships. I think that was in the SWAC. I might have I know there's some track and field championships in the SIAC as well as a few other places. So
NAIA had a lot of them.
Yeah, NAIA as well. So a lot of event contest related things, and of course you had some of the other big stories. And I feel like, as I think back on the past week and what we missed, Drew, Howard going to or the I don't know, it's not official, obviously, or is it official? I don't even know. But the rumors and the sourcing of the story about Howard moving to the Colonial is how last week kind of got started, and then it finished with the resignation of AD Courtney Gaucher at Florida A&M and all that went around that. Also mixed in that big gumbo was the pending lawsuit and the story about infringement rights or just television broadcast streaming rights. And so I'll tell you, personally, I almost had to take a day away from it all, Drew. Yesterday, I felt like I really needed to kind of just step away, and I wanted to kind of soak myself into, I don't want to call it like fantasy sports or fantasy island, but get back to sports. I'd almost rather start a discussion about top quarterbacks in the upcoming 2022 SWAC season. You know what I'm saying? I would rather go that discussion than just the exhaustive discussion that was going on many social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, Twitter. I don't know how you had those discussions on Instagram, to be honest. I don't know if Instagram is that type of platform for that kind of stuff. But there were a lot of shows where that kind of discussion. We were hosting some of those shows, so I'm just. But I mean, by the time I hit Saturday, I just had to be like, I needed to go drive. That's what I actually did this weekend. I went to go drive, do some Lyft driving. I just needed to get away from my car and get away from looking at my phone. How about you? What's your thoughts on just the past week?
Well, before I get to my thoughts of the past week, interested that you said top three quarterback, Brian, and I'm just going off the top of my head. I think there are only three incumbent quarterbacks in the SWAC right now, with that being Shadua Sanders, Jawan Pass, and Rashawn McKay at Jackson State, Texas Southern, and FAMU.
Jawan Pass. Well, okay, I was going to say Jawan Pass isn't coming back. He's gone.
Not Jawan Pass. Texas Southern's quarterback.
Andrew Body.
Andrew Body. I'm sorry. Yeah, Andrew Body. Those are the only three incumbent quarterbacks that I could think of off the top of my head. I might be wrong. There may be more.
Southern has potentially Bubba McDowell. He's there.
They're trying to replace. It
remains to be seen if he gets the job, though. But he's there.
Right. Yeah.
But
so anyway,
yeah.
Getting back to the original question, this week has been like, it's been almost by the time you could dig into one story, here's another story that you really want to focus your attention to. So, and it's kind of glad that we are in this generation where we have to multitask and we're used to doing multiple things at the same time. We used to looking at our phone while we're sitting around work doing something, while we're paying attention to somebody talking to us, and kind of having to diverge attention, because that's what you had to do this week to get all the content in. And unfortunately, this is a week where a lot of good stories tend to get lost in the shuffle because of today's headline. And the headline on Monday, ironically, was not the headline on Friday. It wasn't one of those ones that carried all the way through. So you're right, Brian. It was a lot to digest this week. That's why I've got a 38-inch waist, trying to get into a size 34 pants.
Well, I remember being a high schooler or middle schooler, maybe with that kind of waist. I don't know. Probably more in high school, but anyway. So it's been a long time since I wore some 38. So yeah, that took me back to a very sad place. But anyway, so thanks for the memories, Drew. but so obviously let's kind of go backwards for a second, and we've talked. I've heard you've heard me, I've heard you. We've kind of been on different shows talking a lot about this, and I don't really know the best way to spin. For example, I want to spin things forward because I think we're at a place here to kind of say, what are we waiting to see? How can we spin this forward? That's where I want to go. I mean, we could revisit the old stuff or stuff we've talked about, but I think to keep it fresh, kind of moving, let's, even if it's a half a step, take a baby step forward. What can we take forward or talk about as we move forward as related to the story about Howard moving to the CAA? Or maybe some questions that are on your mind as it relates to that move.
Boy. And that one is tough.
What's the toughest part about it?
The realization that the BAC as we know it, when Howard moves, and yes, I said when, not if, is over. The BAC as we know it, as an all HBCU conference, is over. There are no other Division I HBCUs who can go to the BAC with the exception of a Tennessee State. With Tennessee State, with its problems in the OVC, is the only possible candidate that would be able to go to the BAC as an HBCU. But let's be real, Tennessee State going east does not make sense. So it's over. Now, there's been rumors about a team such as a Chicago State coming into the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, which for they don't play football. So
right.
I'll get back to football in a moment. But for your non-revenue sports, Chicago State, that means everyone in the BAC will have to fly into Chicago to play Chicago State and vice versa for Chicago State. Number one, does Chicago State have the athletic budget to know that every time they go on the road, they will be flying Delta, American, Southwest, whatever. They'll be flying on somebody's plane. So they have to not only fly, but bus it from wherever they fly. You know, if they fly into DC and then bus over to Norfolk, or fly to Norfolk and bus over to Maryland Eastern Shore or to Baltimore, you know, they will be flying. So then when Chicago State comes in, Brian, who's Chicago State's travel partner? You know, HBCU sports are built on travel partners. Who do you make Chicago State's travel partner?
But the rest of college basketball is not built on a travel partner, though.
No, that's an HBCU thing. That's an HBCU thing.
I hear that, and I guess for me, I kind of think about, is the conference outside of the SWAC, the rest of the conferences or the rest of the schools are having to deal with being more in line with the majority of college athletics and less in line with the historical quote unquote minority, if you follow me.
A lot of the small conferences use the travel partner model, Brian. Even on the Division I level, your Big Souths and your conferences like that, they tend to use the travel partner model. Not all of them, but they tend to use it. I think Ohio Valley uses the travel partner model. So that, and for those who don't know what the travel partner model is, you and another institution are paired together with your schedule. So when you travel to team A, your travel partner goes to team B on a Saturday, and then you flip it on Monday in basketball, for instance. So that's one great thing. Now, Howard leaving the BAC in football. Interesting that Howard is playing in the BAC SWAC Challenge this year. They haven't made that announcement. They haven't announced that they're leaving before this BAC SWAC Challenge game. Let's put that out there.
No.
Obviously, they want that revenue for the BAC SWAC Challenge. Because as a participating institution, they get a little bit more of the pot than the remainder of the conference. Also interesting, Howard's president was the chairman of the President's Council until this year. You're not going to make that move if you're the chairman of the President's Council and move to another conference while you're the chairman. Now, he turned off. It wasn't like he was removed or resigned or anything like that. He turned off. It's a rotating schedule among the 8 presidents. So his term was over, and I believe North Carolina Central's president is the president of the council now. So just a couple of interesting dynamics that are at play. But getting back to the relationship with the SWAC, and we know the SWAC has a plan that they have not made release, have not made public. The SWAC started making a plan, to my knowledge, back with all the conference churning, as we like to say, started. So they have a plan if the BAC is no longer able to participate in the Celebration Bowl. What that plan is, I don't know. But it would be interesting to see what happens to the BAC SWAC Challenge at the Celebration Bowl with the 5-team BAC in football.
Here's the thing.
Get back to the last thing on football. You already play more non-conference games than conference games with the 16 BAC. Unless you come up with some type of scheduling agreement with another conference, Big South, or or you merge with another conference to create an HBCU division and a non-HBCU division up under that umbrella for football. It's going to be kind of tough. And basketball is not going to be easy unless you add a Chicago State in. Now I digress to you, Brian.
Well, okay. So the first thing, I think with the terms of President Fredericks or Dr. Fredericks, the Howard president, I believe he took over for South Carolina State's president, who was actually supposed to be sitting in that spot, but he got let go by South Carolina State. So I think that's how he ended up in that spot. So he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was temporarily filling that role.
He finished the term of the South Carolina State's president, you think?
I believe so, yes. And then if I read correctly, he's supposed to be stepping down from his post at Howard. I think if I read an article about that, I forgot where I read it from, but I think he may be stepping down from his post as the president of Howard University 23 after the 22-23 school year or the 23-24 school year. I'm not really sure. I'll have to maybe in the commercial break kind of look up and see where I found that story. But all that to say, these conferences, for example, the CAA making all these moves, I'm just still looking for the why. I mean, what is it that is the next phase? Now, are these schools in the process of forming, be honest, are they in the process of forming a network of some sort for television, internet, something that's going to grow? Because when we saw this kind of movement at the higher levels, there was money and television behind it. There was money in television. People wanted to be in markets, right? You wanted to get, but at this level, you're not playing well. I mean, look, maybe you are. I mean, if you're playing, if this is all about moving into the playoffs, the 1AA FCS playoffs, okay. But here's what I keep
Look,
kind of
take that argument out the window when you're talking about
well,
Howard.
okay.
When has
But
Howard
here's what I'm saying.
football been
No, no,
competitive
no,
enough when you even consider them at that level?
no. But hold on. Here's what this is what I'm trying to say. I don't understand why you're moving. I'm still trying to understand what is active about the CAA. I mean, what kind of what kind of guarantees and resources are they providing Howard, Hampton, North Carolina? What is the draw? Be real. What is the draw? Because you're telling me that your fan base or your donor giving is going to grow financially. I mean, maybe you're saving money. I don't even know if you're really saving money. Your attendance and marketing and your sales is going to grow. It doesn't look like it. So there's got to be another reason. What's the other reason? Is it television? Is it advertisers? That's what I keep trying to go for. I'm saying, is the CAA going to be is there another step to this that we're not seeing? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that because it would be hard pressed for me, Drew, to be like, hey, I'm just here in this 1AA. I keep calling it 1AA. I'm here in this FCS space because I firmly believe anybody making moves like this is pushing to see, can we move our conference up a level in football so that we can do what? Take advantage of the bowl money that's out there. Right? Because I believe that's what the SWAC wants to do. I believe the SWAC wants to move to FBS and football eventually so that they can take advantage of the bowl system. Okay? Now, I mean, you're a Division I and everything else. But with that said, I'm one of those people that believe the top 64, 65 teams are going to break off and do their own thing once they finish this term off with the with the college playoff system. Once the college playoff system ends, or this contract term in 26, 27, I think it is, I would not be surprised if they move. Yeah, I would not be surprised because you heard them say we're not looking to expand the playoffs. That to me tells me they don't care. They are not in this to try to give money away to smaller schools. They're not in it to give money to smaller schools. So if you're not out trying to create your own revenue source, income source, and this is what I've heard it enough time on enough shows, we've talked about it. That's what people get upset about the SWAC and the HBCUs, because you can be creating your own platform, generating your own revenue instead of waiting for somebody else to give you a network deal. So again, that's just my thought, my take. I don't think Howard's going to make an announcement. They don't want to make any announcements because, like you said, you bring up a good point. They got a chance to play in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. And this could also be, Drew, them feeling it out. Hey, let's put this story out there. Let's kind of see what kind of reaction this gets. And then if it falls flat, if there's enough distressed alumni, if the money doesn't look right, they can always come back and say, no. That was just a feasibility study that was put out there. Somehow it got leaked. And it got leaked as a potential move. I mean, that's who knows. That's what they could say. I mean, right?
Brian, the fact that Jackson State, I'm watching the Jackson State game, so y'all got to forgive me, the spring game. The fact that Howard has not refuted anything makes you wonder. That's number one. Number two, Howard, A&T, and Hampton. You got to beware. Your athletic expenses will increase. Your athletic budget will increase in these conferences. If you look at the average athletic budget for the schools that are going into the CAA, and you look at what the CAA teams are spending, they're spending twice as much as we are at our HBCUs. So we have to make that
But
investment.
let
How
me
do we
ask
make
something. Let
that
me ask.
investment? The only way, I will let you get it in a second. The only way we've been making that investment in our athletic budget right now is increase activity fees by the students or increasing enrollment at our university so that we don't have to increase our activity fee at the students. One of the two right now is how we've been funding our athletic departments. How are you going to fund that extra $7 to $10 million that you're going to need to compete in these conferences, Brian?
Okay, we may be at I say we. I'm not. I don't get a degree. I don't have a degree from those schools. So those schools, those three that you mentioned, they may be on the low end of on the CAA, but among HBCUs, where are they? Are they among the top 5, top 7?
A&T was
I would.
was there. A&T was to the top. The other two are not.
They are not part of the top. Are they over 10 million?
I get that answer for you in the break.
We can look at it in the break. But
I had the number, but I know Howard is
put it
not
like this:
one
Do they
of the
have
top
more
spenders.
than Florida A&M? We know Florida A&M has like 8, 9. Are they in the ballpark more closer towards an Alabama A&M with 12, 13, or were they more sort to the 8 and 9? Because it sounded like
Let
they're
me
at the
not.
bottom. All
I
right,
know Howard was.
let's take.
I know Howard was behind Florida A&M. I do not. I know A&T was ahead of A&M. I do not remember where Hampton ranked on the
And
last
I'll
report
say
that I
that
saw.
here's why I mentioned that, and then while we look it up, we'll go. Here's why I mentioned. If these colleges are moving up while they may be at the bottom of the CAA, that's a great starting point to say, hey, boosters, hey, advertisers. That's a good thing. Yeah, Howard and Hampton are private. Stephen Gaither chiming in and reminding us that they are private. So if they're at the bottom of the CAA, there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for them to raise more funds to do what? Get up to the top or get closer to the middle. Because you can go
You
to your
have to.
people and say, you have to, right? But
You
when
have to
you're already
because
at
it has to make economic
upper
sense somewhere
level,
along the line.
exactly. When you're already at the upper level among other HBCUs, who's looking to grow that? I mean, somebody should be, but you're saying, hey, we're already the top in the MEAC, or we're already the top amongst wherever. We're already where we are. So let's do this. Let's try to. I don't know if we'll be able to find that information, especially with Hampton and Howard being private, but let's see what we can find and kind of you have it real quick before we go
Steve
to
Gaither
commercial.
is out here on. Steve Gaither is watching, and I know I've seen some articles on HBCU Game Day. Steve, if you could send me articles, I know y'all have done budgets at articles on athletic budgets on Game Day. Send it to me right quick so we can discuss this.
All right.
It'll help me from Googling everything.
I thought you were going to do the research on your own. How you going to put Steve to work?
Oh, I'm doing it, but hey, I see Steve Gaither's watching, so I'm probably going to pull up one of his articles anyway, so send it to me, my brother.
We appreciate you watching. You may also be watching the spring game like you're doing. All right, let's go to a break. Let's go to a break and come back after this. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap.
We're all about feeding your family with meat and plant-based protein that's good for the planet, good for you, and just plain good. That's all the protein you need, all on your plate.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora. as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
Welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here, and I'm going to join in like the rest of you guys who are watching and tuned in on one of their TVs with this Jackson State spring football game. I will say who did have spring games yesterday. Prairie View A&M had their spring game yesterday. South Carolina State, Bowie State, ECSU, Howard, Winston-Salem, I believe, had theirs. Alabama State, I believe, was also supposed to have theirs. I don't know if I haven't seen any video or any pictures coming out from that. And Lincoln, Missouri was supposed to have theirs. So that's about 8 schools that had theirs. UAPB, Savannah State had theirs on Friday, the 22nd. Jackson State having theirs today. And I believe that leaves Morgan State and Central State. I have those schools slated for April 30th, and that will be the last schools to have their spring day. Although I don't know when, I don't know when Clark or if Clark had theirs. I don't know when Kentucky State or Miles had theirs, so I could have missed them in the mix. But so who knows? Those schools may be having theirs. So shout out to everybody watching us on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate you guys for coming in. Drew, hit that. What did you find? That we were ending the last discussion, just kind of backtracking a little bit, sharing some thoughts about. We went down the rabbit hole of talking about budgets and spending. So what did you find out? You found the article that you were trying to get Stephen Gaither to find for you.
Well, actually, Steve sent me a different article than the one that I had found on Google, and according, I don't know the date of this article from Stephen Gaither, but shout out to Stephen Gaither for sending this to me. Howard's, and I believe this is from 2018, is the year. Either 2017 or 2018, Howard's athletic budget was $10.1 million. The average SWAC and MEAC, which is FCS, budget was $9.7 million. Compare that to the Ivy League at 27.1 million.
It's a good thing the
So,
Ivy Leagues
and they don't even
really,
give out. And
turn
think about
into
the Ivy
football.
League's budget. Think about the
They're
Ivy
not
League budget.
interested in football, fortunately.
They don't even give out
They're playing
athletic
the playoffs.
scholarships. They don't give out
Yeah.
athletic scholarships, and they're spending $27.1 million. We give out athletic scholarships and are
That's
spending
crazy.
$9.7 million on athletics as HBCUs.
They already have, well, they've got a bigger endowment. That's probably, you can put about several HBCUs into their endowments that they have over there. So,
they got schools that got endowment bigger than some of our conferences.
Yeah. Here's a prediction. I've as I've watched what's happening in the FCS, I firmly believe that the FCS is going to change their model and requirements for the playoffs, because you are going to have more leagues with, I mean, look, there's a reckoning where half the leagues probably have, I don't have the official number. I know it's out there. I can find it quickly during the break.
They're on
But I
the
was going to say
borderline of whether
7
they
or
get the
11
6.
or 8 or 11.
Yeah, well, you have to have 6 in order to get an automatic.
But what I'm saying is that
there are a lot of
model
leagues that are right there.
Yeah. Yes, I think that model is going to change with the number with the conference moving the way they did, where now you have the Colonial, the CAA, the SWAC, the the WCC, the Mount. You have 4 conferences that have 12 to 14 team leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a group of others that are below that number. So I think we'll have to look it up here, but I just think there's going to be a change coming. I don't know if expansion. I saw our good friend Mike Reed talk about an expansion of the playoffs. Right now it's at 24.
24. There's a proposal to go to 28 on the table.
So 20, that means then
first round number 1 seed would get a bye instead of the top 2 in each region.
Well, no. Actually, what it could mean is that instead of 8 teams getting a bye, that means it cuts it down to 4 teams getting a bye.
Exactly. If it's just the top 4, because they're 4. I'm sorry, they don't do regions at that level. But yeah, only the top 4 seeds would get a bye. On the FCS level, that's a proposal that's on the table. It would create more at-larges, obviously, or with the number of conferences being cut. Go ahead, and I'm gonna get my last point.
I don't think more is not always better. Let's think about that for a second. More is not always better.
I agree.
I'm gonna use your analogy about your waist size. More is not better. I know more is not better. So everyone, look, when they went from 16 to 24, and then you look up when you looked at the top 4, go back and look over the past couple years. The top 4 teams are usually the top 8 teams that are seeded 1 to 8. There's no Cinderella. I mean, hey, we were excited about Florida A&M getting in the. They ended up getting knocked out in the first round. Southeast Louisiana, they had to play us. They got knocked out in the round after that. Second round, yeah, great. Who'd they lose to? They lost to one of the top 8 teams that had a bye. So why did you have I mean, again, more is not better. I don't know. Cash? What cash?
Because you have to pay to host that first round.
Show me the receipts. Okay, well,
you have to pay to host that first round. Last thing before we get off of this,
the first round, and you hope that you get some money off of it. Show me the receipts. Anyway, go ahead.
Watch Norfolk State, y'all. If Howard goes, Norfolk State will ride their coattail just like Bethune rode FAM's coattail out the conference. Let's move on to baseball.
You can't. You're just hot micing. You can't drop that out there. And then
they were looking at it. They were rumored to be considering it last year. It was on the agenda last year at their board meeting.
Let's transition to baseball for a second, because I want to, before we get into talking about who did what in top fives. You got to give a shout out to Grambling State's Shamar Page, who dropped a perfect game Saturday night against Alcorn State. Now, I feel like I'm throwing dirt when I say that of all the things that could go wrong for Alcorn State this year, somebody put up 32 on them, somebody put up 30 on them, then someone pitched a perfect game against them. I mean, damn. I mean, this is I'm telling you what, Alcorn's going to be a great story next year when they come back and they're going to say, hey, remember when you guys were kicking dirt on us in 2022? It's going to be a hell of a story. But anyway, Shamar Page pitched a perfect game, threw 84 pitches, had a season high or a career and season high 13 strikeouts, as Grambling State ended up beating Alcorn 16-0. It's their 11th straight win over Alcorn. And that's, I believe it's also, I read it was the 33rd or 34th perfect game in college baseball. Now, I don't know if that's Division I or just college baseball, NCAA college baseball, but still impressive to throw that kind of, 84 pitches. And actually, that game only went 7 innings. So, there was no 9 innings. He didn't have to go a full 9 because of the run rule. He only had to go 7. So he faced only 21 batters. Do the math, 84 pitches. That's pretty impressive, I would say. I don't know what Shamar's season record is, but Grambling, where is Grambling in the standings right now, Drew? Do you have the baseball standings up?
I actually had those up. Keep talking while I go back to that link.
I pulled them up real quick.
Not yet, Mr.
Not yet. Grambling right now tied 13-5 in the conference. Actually, just a half a game behind Prairie View. Prairie View's 13-14. So Grambling, with that sweep over the weekend, is sitting in a real good place. And I tell you, man, the race in the SWAC is tight because you've got Alabama State sitting at 13-3, Bethune and Florida A&M sitting at 12-6. And that's the East, right? Prairie View in the West is 13-4. Grambling's 13-5. Texas Southern's 10-8. I mean, that looks like that's just one series away from changing. And all 6 of those
Southern's
teams,
right behind them at 9-9. Southern is right behind Texas Southern at 9-9.
Yeah, but if those stats are correct that I'm looking at on the SWAC, Southern's lost 7 in a row. That's not a good. That's a week of losing. That's not a good number. If you've lost 7, now you say they've lost 7 in a row, which means they were probably sitting at 9-3, kind of in first place, and have dropped 2 series in a row, probably in a midweek game.
And a midweek. So, yes.
Yeah, so that's not good at all. Let's take a look at our BCSN, our new top 5 Division I rankings. These are computer rankings through Sunday. And there you see, coming in at number 5 is Grambling, coming in at number 5. Just slightly ahead of them, Florida A&M, who I believe won 2 of 3 versus Alabama A&M. I don't know. I don't think they swept Alabama A&M this time around. I think they lost the middle game in that series. I feel like I should know that for some reason. I'm supposed to know that, right? Actually, they lost the first game in the series, 6-5. That's what it was. They lost the first game in the series, 6-5, and then they just they won the next 2 contests. Bethune-Cookman comes in at now. Are these Drew? Are these numbers correct here? Because I'm noticing.
No, doesn't look like the numbers were correct. Let me give the points standings. The order is correct. The point standings.
We don't have to worry about the points.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah,
the
but the
order
order is
is
correct.
correct. Bethune-Cookman
Yes.
comes in at 3. Disregard the points. Those of you who are watching us on the TV screens there. Prairie View comes in at number 2. Alabama State at number 1. I don't know. Was there any shuffling in that top 3 or 5? Because I want
Well,
to say Bethune was still 3.
Bethune was last week's number 1. A&M was last week's number 3. Do not remember who number 2 was. No, excuse me. Alabama State was number
No,
2.
Alabama State was number 1 last week. Alabama State was number
No,
1 last week.
Bethune was
Bethune
1.
dropped from 2 to 3. Prairie View jumped
Yes.
up. A&M stayed at 4.
4.
Southern dropped out.
Southern
Grambling jumped in.
Southern is Grambling flip flopped.
Right.
Yes.
All right, let's take it over to Division II. On the Division II side of things, coming in at number 1, back on top this week is Savannah State, and they flip-flopped with Albany State. So Albany State, and that was a big series this weekend, was it not? And I know Savannah State won game number 1 on that series. Do you have the result on that series?
I do believe Savannah State swept that series, if I remember correctly. I know they took the first 2, and if I remember, they did sweep that series. Savannah State currently raised their record 30-10. No, Savannah State won the first 2. Albany State did get the last one. Albany State was able to salvage 1 out of 3. And that essentially gives Savannah State the SIAC regular season title.
Okay. Yeah, that 25 and 2
30
in
and 10,
conference.
25 and 2.
Yeah, 25 and 2 in conference. Albany State 23 and 5 in conference. So I anticipate, just a wild hunch there. Both teams will probably get an opportunity in the Black College World Series. I'm pretty sure. Just a hunch. Just
a hunch.
Just a hunch. Coming in at 3rd was Kentucky State. 4th was Miles, and 5 is West Virginia State. Bluefield State making a run at it, trying to see if they can get back into the mix in the Black College polls. Obviously, our poll is not the poll, but I think when you look at our poll, when you look at the Black College Nines poll, you start to get an idea on where teams might be when it comes time for that selection committee to pick the top 4 teams from Division II, right?
Yeah. One other thing, Miles and Kentucky State flip-flopped this week in the rankings.
Okay. Good point. Yes, they did. All right, let's take it over to the NAIA. The NAIA level. Rust is still sitting at number 1 for the 2nd week in a row. Florida Memorial comes in at 2. Edward Waters 3. Talladega 4. Payne is 5. Let's see. If I look back from last week, Talladega dropped.
Xavier dropped out. Payne went in. And Edward Waters and Talladega
swapped.
Yes.
Right. What did you see the article that Black College Nines had written regarding I guess the best way to describe it was sort of a predictive look at who might be in the field. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did. And I think it was kind of spot on. I think it was obviously to get the fans excited about the Black College World Series, and also get some of these players and coaches on alert, letting them know, hey, if you go out here and take care of business this weekend, we've got this opportunity to play in this postseason tournament. Or on the flip side, if we bomb this weekend, we may be going home on summer break a week or so early.
Yeah, I was trying to find out where that was, and I guess I almost
It's on
buried the
Black
lead
College
there.
Nines.
Yeah, I buried the lead. Oh yeah, here it is, the projected series. But before I mention that, excuse me, I buried the lead actually. In fact, I should be calling it the Tyson Foods Black College World Series, as Tyson Foods came on board to be the title sponsor for the next 3 years. So that is huge. Congratulations to blackcollegechampionships.com, Drew, you, and everyone else who is a part of that group in bringing that together. Thank you and congratulations to Tyson for coming on, and hopefully that type of commitment brings in some other advertisers as well, some other sponsors, because there's some definite other opportunities that are available for sponsors to be a part, and even on the hint, even on the broadcast side of things, that opens up the door for some sponsors. So congratulations to Tyson Foods for doing that. Okay, so here I found the article. So now, looking at the projected Division II bracket, and for those of you who aren't familiar how this is set up, you're going to end up with it's an 18 field, but you essentially have two tournaments of four, where you have four teams in the Division II bracket, four teams in an NAIA bracket. The winner of each bracket faces each other in the quote unquote World Series. One game to rule them all, one game to declare a victor. And so and this came out earlier in the week. So I'll be interested to see if the guys over at Black College Nines update this any after the weekend of competition. But their projected Division II bracket looks like Albany State at the 1, Savannah State at the 2, Miles at the 3, Kentucky State at 4. Okay, with outsiders such as Bluefield State, who was the champion from last year, and West Virginia State. Then over on the NAIA bracket, you have Florida Memorial with the 1 seed, Payne College 2, Russ 3, Talladega 4. And, that kind of puts schools like Edward Waters, according to their article on the bubble. Let's see who else from our top 5 did that possibly leave out.
Xavier,
Xavier, yeah. So Xavier
last year's runner
and
up.
yeah, last year's runner up. So
Now, based on this weekend's results, Brian, I think Edward Waters and Talladega's may have flip flopped, where Edward Waters may be in and Talladega having lost their weekend series. Maybe the bubble team now in the NAIA ranks.
yeah, when you look at the Black College Nines poll, like their poll again, this is their poll of voters. Their voters have Russ College ranked 6th in which they actually have Rust behind Payne at 5 and Florida Memorial at 4. So that's sort of the interesting difference between polls and our rankings and how all that works. So it definitely will be interesting to see how the voters, or the selection committee rather, puts things together, to say the least, right?
Correct. And Brian, all you gotta do is come back here to BCSN on this same platform that you're watching us on now on Wednesday, and you will hear those selections, Brian, right here at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, just before you step onto the O&G strike zone. So you can still catch both of us. We just won't be together on Wednesday.
Right.
The road to Montgomery,
one other
7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, and that will be the live announcement of the selections.
Yeah, and that'll be it's also available in the BCSN Pod Zone. So if anybody you want to go check that out, Go if you don't check out the video on YouTube, you can go to your podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Go to the BCSN Pod Zone. That's BCSN Pod Zone. Google, Apple, wherever you watch or listen to podcasts, rather Spotify, iHeart. It's all there. You can go find that episode, the last 2 episodes even. One other note from Saturday, Drew, we got to give a shout out to Jackson State head baseball coach Omar Johnson, who his team notched his 500th career coaching victory during the game against Alabama State on Saturday. It was a 5-0 victory for Jackson State, and for Johnson, it was his 500th career coaching victory. In 15 seasons, he's posted 13 30-plus win seasons. Most notably last year when Jackson State went 34-9 and a perfect 24-0 in conference play. Johnson's winning career record at Jackson State is 500 wins, 319 losses. So congratulations to Coach Omar Johnson. Again, last year, Jackson State's team not getting an opportunity to play in the playoffs was one of the true travesties of last year, in my opinion. But it is what it is. That's how the SWAC does their championship. So winner take all. You get there, double elimination until you get to the championship game, and then it's one game, and so you got to come through. So let's take another break. We'll come back. And we'll drop some more nuggets about the softball rankings that we released and maybe some of the results. We'll also
get to the elephant in the room.
What? Oh, where? What's that?
The elephant in the room, Rattler.
What?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you still want to talk about that? There's still
the
something else.
There's something else. Mr. Rattler.
I don't want to talk about it. That story is exhausting. I don't. But if you want to talk about it, sure. If anybody else there if you want to hear our opinion, okay. But you may have heard them already. But I don't have anything new to add about it. So I feel like I'm gonna be quiet until I have some new intel or some new information. It is without getting myself in trouble. I think that's the best thing I to do right now in this medium before my boss throws up some disclaimer on the screen on us. So I think that's the best move to do. So let's take a break. Come back with the start of hour number 2, and we'll get into talking about the draft, some draft prospects. The draft is on Thursday. How many HBCU players will get drafted among the 262 players? Over under 4.5, I think was the number.
4.5.
4.5 is the number we set. So you let us know. You guys are watching us on Facebook, Twitter, wherever, YouTube. Over or under 4.5 players. How many do you think will get drafted? We'll settle that debate.
And don't just give us the name. Don't just give us the yes or no. Give us the names. Do you think will make that? If you go over, give us the over. Give us the names for the over.
You want to take it next level. All right, we'll see what we come up with. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
The top HBCU programs in the nation come to Montgomery, Alabama's Riverwalk Stadium this May 11th through 14th for the Black College World Series. The best Black college baseball teams in the NCAA Division II and the NAIA will battle for Black baseball's ultimate pride. Games will be streamed live at www.mybcsn.net Tickets are available now online at www.blackcollegechampionships.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless. Pick something we all like.
Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Okay, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here. We appreciate you tuning in and watching us tonight. We know you could be doing a lot of other things. You could even be watching the Jackson State spring game. Looks like a packed house there in Mississippi for that contest, for a spring game, that is. But we appreciate if you're watching us as well. And interesting. Is that field turf that they have down on there in that on that field, or is it just the grass looks really good?
If it's now that's grass. No wonder the
Okay, it just
two
looks
that
really
still have
good.
natural surface. Yes.
Yeah, it just looks really good, really green. I love green grass. There's something about green grass, like when it looks good on the football field or the baseball field, and just the that cutting, when you cut the grass and it has that pattern when it looks dark in one block and light in another, you do that by the direction in which you cut the grass. I used to do our yard like that when I was when I had the responsibility of cutting the grass. I used to try to do that. I tried to go one direction and then turn around and come back and go the other way so I could look out and see that pattern, like you would see at a baseball field or a football field sometimes. Did you ever do that?
I tried, I was a Parks and Rec guy, so I used to try to cut our baseball and football fields like that. And, for some reason, just did not come out.
Never came out the way you wanted it to.
The problem was, Brian, I made drunk lines on the zero turn.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have such an allergy issue as it relates to grass, or I always wanted to ride a riding lawnmower. Like I wanted to get on a riding lawnmower and cut grass. Like I wanted to cut a big field so I could do that with the patterns, and then stand over my grass with a glass of lemonade or sweet tea and marvel at how well a job I did cutting the grass. But I had allergies, so it's like I never really got to enjoy. It's miserable, It's nothing worse than having teary eyes and a runny nose while you're trying to cut grass. So anyway, yeah. So any takeaways from spring practice as you're watching this spring game for Jackson State?
Games more watching me than me watching the game.
Did Jackson State ever wear the all red? I noticed they have their quarterbacks dressed in all red. Did they wear the all red this past year?
I don't remember red pants, red tops. I know I've seen, they've got about 3 or 4 different color combinations. They've got the silver and the red and the blue and the white, but I do not recall seeing them in all red. That would be a question we'd have to ask either Bishop or Neely. They would give us the answer on
Yeah.
that.
Or if anybody's watching us if you watch Jackson State, I'm telling you, for the Florida Classic, I would love to see. I mean, I'm putting a bid in now. Okay, color combinations, right? Florida Classic. I'd love to see Jackson State in the all red with the blue helmets, right? And then give me Florida A&M in the
white on white.
White. Well, let me see. Who was
White,
home last year?
white on white. It'd be their home game technically.
Yeah, but I think FAMU could choose to go. Well, you don't want to do it if they're wearing all red. Then FAMU, I would want them to go orange helmet, white top, green pants. Yeah, something to
Not
that
all
effect.
white. Not all white.
And orange helmets, all white and orange helmets. I could go with that. All white with orange helmets. That wouldn't be a bad
Do they
look.
still have the white? Do they still have the white helmet?
They still have the white helmets. Yeah, it's funny. Coach Simmons had said there are combinations that they still haven't used. I feel like I'm going to go back at some point during a boring summer day and recap the color combinations and really measure out what combinations they didn't utilize. That's just me finding something to do during the summer. So let's get back into it. If you're watching us, wherever you are on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button there. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate you. If you're on Facebook, we appreciate everyone watching us on Facebook. Let's get into softball rankings because we dropped softball for the first time last week. And so actually it's a third week for Division One. So these are the latest rankings for softball. And I think I can kind of back it up with some few results, at least from out of the Division One level. And there you see, and this is kind of surprising because you tell me, Drew, how the numbers are that close where Morgan State has jumped from 2-1 over Texas Southern. How did we get there, Drew? Because I'm looking at the numbers from last week.
And Morgan State was just behind Texas Southern
by about 5 points. So what do you think happened? Both teams got a sweep over the weekend. What do you think happened?
Comes down basically to strength of schedule. And while I pull up, let's see, Morgan State this week, they played South Carolina State, who is at the bottom of the BIAC. Had a midweek, had a midweek win against Rider, doubleheader win against Rider. So I think that may have been the difference is that midweek that Morgan State had versus versus
Rider, RIDER, right?
RIDER. And looking at Texas Southern.
Well, while you're finishing that, let me finish the top 5 here. Bethune is at number 3. I believe Bethune was 3 last week. And the 4 and 5 remain the same as well. Norfolk State at 4, Howard at 5. Let's see. So I guess it's Alabama State. I can't really see who's in the hunt, but Alabama State, Florida A&M,
Alabama
and
State.
Jackson State.
Yeah, Alabama State.
Okay.
But Florida A&M and Jackson State, essentially the statistical tie.
Yeah.
And getting back to that, Brian, looks like The difference is that midweek that Morgan State played, whereas Texas Southern did not have a midweek, and they were able to garner enough points in that midweek series to jump Texas Southern.
Now, in terms of total wins this year, it should be noted Norfolk State actually has the most wins so far in among Division One HBCUs with 26. Morgan has 25 total wins. Howard has 22. Now, when you get into conference play, though, Texas Southern actually has an 18-3 conference record. So talk about a tale of two seasons, whereas Texas Southern only won one game in the non-conference schedule. They have really put it on the rest of the teams in the SWAC by going 18-3. Their overall record right now is 19-17. So talk about playing a tough schedule. Sure enough, by Texas Southern. Let's go over to Division Two. Division Two for women softball. We've got Tuskegee 1. We've got Claflin at 2. Claflin moved up a spot from the 3 spot up to number 2. Albany State dropped down to the 3 spot. 4 is Virginia State still, and Benedict is number 5, with Fayetteville State sitting just on the outside. And we go to the NAIA. And at the NAIA level, we have Edward Waters at number 1 for the second consecutive week. Tilliston moved up from 3 to 2, jumping Xavier. So they did a flip-flop there. Also, Talladega and Jarvis Christian did a bit of a flip-flop. You can see it's a tight race there. Talladega was 5. They moved to 4. Jarvis Christian dropped from 4 to 5. So you can see that is a tight race there amongst those teams. Let's see if I've got any overall numbers. Edward Waters with an overall record of 26-9. So the Lady Tigers are having a heck of a season. Actually, among all, that 26 seems to be
the most.
26. Actually, Benedict actually has 27 wins on the Division II level.
And Tuskegee's right there with them.
Yeah, Tuskegee has 24. Actually, Albany State has 31. I guess I should have started there. I looked right past that. Albany State has 31 total wins. Then you have Benedict at 27 total wins, followed by Tuskegee with 24. At the NAIA level, you've got Edward Waters with sitting at 26. They're really the only school at that NAIA level.
And keep this in mind. Edward Waters jumps to the SIAC next year with the Tuskegee, with the Benedict, with the Albany State. So Edward Waters would jump in that mix. And also keep in mind, Edward Waters has played a number of SIAC opponents this year as they make their transition.
Yes, they have. All right. I know we had a few coaching hires that took place, I should say, over the past week. Some new coaching hires. And one of them actually kind of started off in the, I want to make sure I get this right, because we had we had basketball, we had Alabama A&M with a new coach, a new basketball coach. We had Florida Memorial with a new baseball coach, and who was the other coach that we were just talking about?
Football coach.
I'm sorry, a new football coach. Florida Memorial, new football coach. And who was the third coach that we were just talking about?
Langston. Chris Wright going from Talladega to Langston.
Yes. So, all right. So we'll go from the oldest story to the newest story. All right. We'll go oldest. Oldest story was Alabama A&M announcing that Olympic and NBA head coach Otis Hughley Jr. became the 10th head coach in men's program history. And I watched some of his press conference. Wasn't much there, but I tell you what, I did like the fact that there are Alabama ties, Alabama roots, as he coached, I believe, about a decade at LaFleur High School, I think is the name of the high school, where Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Boogie Cousins, was his star pupil. Their nickname were the Rattlers. So I know there's this photo of Cousins in a Rattlers basketball jersey, which kind of gets folks from Florida A&M all excited when they see that. And then it's like, yeah, that's his high school jersey. So, but anyway, that's I think LaFleur's in Mobile, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It's in Mobile.
Yes.
It's in Mobile, Alabama. So I think that's a good move. I know he coached the women's Nigerian national team, or you know, so look, it's not outside of Alabama. It may not be a sexy name, but inside of the state, which is I think important for Alabama A&M, especially going into a new stadium that they're building, very important and a good hire for them, because they got somebody that the state is familiar with from head to toe. He was successful. He's built up a name for himself at every level that he's been at. And, he still has a lot of ties, I'm sure, to that area. So, that's a good move. And again, like I said, outside of the state, you may be like, who, what? Then you're not the target market. So among
Right.
among where they needed to be, which is what, down in the Gulf and in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, they know who Otis Hughley Jr. is, and that's what's important. What are your thoughts on
Uh,
Coach Hughley, Drew?
Also, what you failed to mention, he spent some time coaching junior college basketball in Alabama at one of the Wallace community colleges. I believe it was Wallace of Selma, which is a HBCU. No, it's not an HBCU junior college, but it is a junior college where a lot of us tend to go and play ball. And so, once again, you talk about those Alabama ties. Him having coached junior college basketball in Alabama also kind of helps him with that name recognition that you're talking about. And if you've been watching the Carlos Brown show, seen right here on the Black College Sports Network, and with Coach Van Pettaway comes on Carlos Brown show at the top of the second hour, usually, he kind of talked about this coaching search. This coach had hired, they were going to make a splash with this hire, and they wanted to get someone who was going to be there long term and not use this job as a stepping stone job. So, with a guy like him returning back to the state of Alabama, I think this may be that model that they were looking for someone with a successful long term coach like Van Pettaway was there at Alabama A&M, and Pettaway did. Coach Hughley reminded Pettaway, who was on the search committee, in the interview that he put a loss on him when he was coaching at Southern with Coach Ben Jobe. So said the only loss that only time Pettaway said that was the only time he lost to Southern at Elmore, which is Alabama A&M's former arena.
Okay. Yeah, his tenure there at Mobile at LaFleur was 2004 to 2010, and so yeah, I mean that, here's a guy who has international, and like you said, he's had international,
Used to coach
Olympic,
the big man camp for the NBA players.
yeah. So look, there's a. It does strike me as somebody who is sort of returning home. I don't know his age, so I'm not gonna. But I would guesstimate somebody in maybe his 50s, mid 50s. I could look it up, but I didn't. And so, I just think it's somebody who you want to be there for maybe the next 10 years. This could be a good hire. And again, going into a new stadium, fresh start, build, and then go from there. Uh, the other hire that came midweek, I guess, or it kind of came midweek. Was Florida Memorial welcome Bobby Rome II as their new head coach down in South Florida. And if that name sounds familiar to you, well, it should. Uh, Coach Rome was the head coach at Central State for a sip of coffee. He was actually hired. He was hired in 2019, and then of course the COVID happened, and it wiped his first season out. Actually, I think he was hired at the end of
18. He competed in 2019 season. I thought.
No, he didn't. No, I
He
think
did
he
not.
came in after that. I don't believe. I think he came in after that. I could be wrong, but I think he was only there. He was there for 2 seasons, and he missed his first season because of COVID, the COVID year, and then last season was his first season, and he was only there for 6 games of that season. And so if I got it wrong, I'm gonna apologize now. But I think my memory is pretty good on these kind of things. So he was there for the first 6 games of the 2020 of this past year. Matter of fact, that was the 2021 season. He stepped down in October, mid-October, resigned from the position. No word on why.
They were
I
over the
was reading
season at that point, if I remember correctly, Brian.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they were 0 for whatever. At that point in the season, I was just reading an article that Luke Williams had written regarding that resignation on it was an older story from HBCU Game Day. And so yeah, that happened. And so now he's replacing Tim Ice Harris. Here's what's curious, right? Florida Memorial they moved away from a guy who he was synonymous with South Florida football. Okay. You got a new program that you're starting up for the first time in 62 something years. And I know there was a lot of issues in getting things off the ground, right? The first season got delayed. The second season,
COVID.
You had COVID. But you
First season
tried
was
to play.
COVID. It got canceled.
But they started it though. They started it.
They
They
started
tried to
it.
start it. They started it, and so for whatever reason, second season, we went to that game where they played Edward Waters, and they weren't a bad team. They were much improved over the previous year. So you got to think, hey, year 3 is going to be a great year. So whatever happened there, Ice Harris got out of there. Maybe some of the he didn't. Obviously you have a new AD come in. That's not the guy who brought you
He's
in.
had his third AD. That's his third AD.
Well, yeah, I guess so. If you're counting the interim,
Because you had,
yeah, I guess so.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you had 2
So
ADs in
if
the
you're
interim.
counting the third, so yeah. But anyway, so something didn't sit right. He gets out. You got a new guy coming in who doesn't have, from what I'm reading, as I'm reading the release, doesn't have any ties. He has ties to Norfolk, Virginia. He coached at Virginia Union. Or not Virginia Union, but University of Virginia Lynchburg, that VUL school that we talked about. He even coached in Russia. He coached a team in Russia. There are no ties whatsoever to South Florida. But I feel like everybody has ties to South Florida, but there are none on his coaching tree that I see. How's this going to
wait. So let me get this right, Brian. Florida Memorial, an upstart program. Get the disclaimer ready, Roy. Hires a coach from Virginia Lynchburg, who is everybody's prom date for homecoming. Because they beat nobody, they have no scholarships, they win no games. And if you don't put up 50 points against Virginia Lynchburg on your homecoming, your donations are getting ready to go down.
What's wrong with y'all? Yeah.
Exactly. To a Central State team where he didn't win any games. My brother Will, great supporter and follower of the show. I feel for you, my brother. It may not be the good, especially when you consider it's the end of April when you're making this coaching hire. I don't know what's left out there for this year. Not maybe 2, 3 years down the line, you may have a chance. 2022, 2022. I don't see it happening at Memorial this year. Not too many wins.
Well, hopefully they did have a spring practice. They did have spring everything. I mean, the other coaches ran it, so
But how
hopefully
many of those coaches will be there in the fall?
you hope.
Because
Hopefully,
you
you keep
got
them all.
because you've got to assume you're going to bring in your own people.
I know. Don't assume that because you may not
You're
have
going
time to
to
bring in your own people. You may not have time
you
to
got
bring
to
in
have
your own
somebody
people
to
this year.
trust, which
Well,
makes it
you
even
go in
worse.
and build trust. You go in and build trust. Be a leader. Step in there and step into the role and build trust on your own. I mean, just like everybody else who goes
Win
into a
me a
job.
game. Win me a game.
The
Win me a
other
conference
new
game.
hire. All right, the other new hire, which was definitely shocking, which came out on Friday, was we saw this. Did it? I felt like this came out on Saturday, so double check me on this, Drew,
I think it was Thursday,
because
actually. It was Thursday.
was it really? Somehow it just
Yeah.
escaped my timeline. But Chris Wright, who led Talladega College to a national runner-up men's basketball over there and had a successful run the last couple of years, you look up and all of a sudden you say he's the new head coach at Langston University, and you're like, what? That by far is the shocking coaching hire of, I think, the week. Trying to figure out what happened and how did he get there. And so that one caught me because you're thinking everything is going well at Talladega. I know he graduated a lot of seniors, so who knows? That could have been a factor in the decision or what happened. So I don't know, Drew. What are your thoughts when you looked up and saw that Coach Wright was now at Langston?
What? That was my thought. What? I mean, this. I don't even consider this. It's definitely not a step up in job as far as how the programs have traditionally been ran. Talladega has been a program. A lot of that is built on the back of Coach Wright. Langston in basketball has not been good in a number of years. And to go from Alabama, where you got some decent basketball talent, you're next door to Georgia, you're next door to Florida, where you can get some of those recruits in, to Oklahoma, to the middle of Oklahoma. Gonna be interested to see where he recruit from. Now, maybe he has some Texas ties in some recruiting, because that's where your hotbed of players are going to be. They're going to come to Oklahoma, going to come from Texas, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, places like that. So that's what you're going to hope for. But that was probably one of the more interesting what the heck's moves that I saw over the last right over the last couple of years when it comes to coaching hires. That would caught me totally off guard and makes you kind of wonder why he made that move. Was it financial? Was it other things? Was it control? Was it power? What you know? Who knows what the move is? Because once again, I don't think he has any ties to that Oklahoma region, to that region of the country. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens there. And does his assistant go with him?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because
I
I know his assistant has been with him at every other stop along the way that Coach Wright has coached at.
Let me get a background a little bit. This may help you out here because you were asking about Texas ties, and there are some Texas ties that he has. And actually, he was at Talladega 4 years. And so this is what he did when he came in 2018, 2019. That team at Talladega was 24-8. They got ranked 20th nationally. Went to the first round of the playoffs in the NAIA. The following year, they went 25-7. They got as high as ranked number 6 nationally. That was the COVID year, so there was no tournament that year. Then the 2021 season, they went 25-4, ranked as high as number 9, went to the as high as the second round of the NAIA tournament. And then, of course, this past year, 32-6, nationally ranked number 2, national runner-up. That's a 106-25 record in 4 seasons at Talladega. So, yeah, it does make you wonder why the move to Langston. Now, Coach Wright, he graduated from the University of Texas at Austin. In 10 years of coaching, some of these stops in his coaching career, Central Baptist College in Arkansas. I'm just reading from the press release here. He was an assistant for Division II powerhouse Angelo State University. I believe that's in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. At Graceland University, he was a head coach there. He was an assistant coach at Arkansas Tech University. Spent 8 seasons at Fresno Pacific University, including 4 as the head coach, where they transitioned from NAIA to Division II. He began his coaching career in Texas with a season as assistant coach at Division I Texas State in 05-06 and Division II St. Edward's University in Austin prior to that.
So he has those Texas ties.
Yeah. I mean, he's from UT. He went to Texas at Austin. So, but more importantly, the guy wins. The guy gets results. He wins. He finds a way to win. An excellent recruiter. And you know what? I'm going to read the tweet, and I always say there's always something in a message. And he says, and this is his tweet that he sent out. Try to find it here from April 22nd. And you can read into this however you want to. Again, I'm one of those people that I think you type something and then you reword it and you try to find the right way to express how you really feel, right? And so Coach says, I could not be more fired up for this opportunity, triple exclamation point. I feel extremely blessed and humbled to be going to a place that, here's the line that gets me, that really wants and expects to be excellent, exclamation point. We're going to build a special program at Langston. It's time to go to work. L's up, quadruple scintilla, exclamation points. I don't know. But anyway, that line there, that really wants and expects to be excellent. I'm not going to start any controversy, but I'm just like, just something to make you go, Remember that old show? Remember that? People used to run segments, right? People on radio used to run segments.
Things that make you go,
So
was it Arsenio Hall?
Yeah, it was Arsenio Hall. Yes, it was. And things that make you go, what is he really saying there? And we could try to do that all day. Maybe we'll have some official statement from Coach Wright. I did try to reach out to Coach Wright. He may be enjoying his Sunday with his family. It's like, I'm not calling you back, Brian, because I know what you're going to ask me. I can't say no. But I just know, so look, it's interesting. We know the parties involved, and so it'll be interesting to see who Talladega hires and brings in, because that's a good program. I know they're rebuilding, though. Again, he had like 8 seniors on that squad, so whether it was Coach Wright, he was going to have to rebuild, or somebody new coming in, they're going to have to rebuild flat out. We knew that was going to happen. Yeah, one way or the other.
One other coaching hire we forgot about, Brian. Tony Matlock at Alabama State was named since the last time we were on the air, which left a coaching vacancy now at South Carolina State. Matlock comes over from South Carolina State after spending 1 season there at South Carolina State.
What
So
sport?
and in
What
that
sport are you
season,
talking? I missed what sport?
basketball, basketball.
Men, women.
Yes, men. We replaced
Wait a
Mo
minute.
Williams, who went over to Jackson State.
Oh, okay. So reset that again, Drew, because I totally missed that one
Okay.
too. Go ahead, reset that. Men's
Okay.
basketball we're talking.
Yes, Tony Matlock is now the new head coach at Alabama State. And this was actually last week. He's now the head coach at Alabama State. He replaces Mo Williams, who left Alabama State to go be the new head coach at Jackson State. Matlock comes over after serving a year at South Carolina State. His team finished 15 and 16 overall last year, 7-7 in the MEAC. Some of
Should have been the
the
look. With all respect to, hold on, excuse me. With all respect to Coach Jones at Norfolk State, that should have been your coach of the year in the MEAC. What he did, he turned around a program that was one of the worst 5 programs in America. First 5. I mean, they were literally like, what is it, 356?
Something like that.
Yeah, they were like 354. South Carolina State was putrid 2 years ago. They were bottom of the barrel. He turned them in. I mean, they weren't 500, but damn, 15 and 17, that's great. And
Well, Brian, it's funny that you mentioned that because he was a finalist for the Joe B. Hall Award given to college basketball's top first-year coach after leading South Carolina State to its highest win total since the 2015-16 seasons. And he's bringing his son with him, who was also there at South Carolina State. TJ will be transferring over to Alabama State to play for Dad.
And one of the biggest stories that nobody seems to be talking about is the lawsuits going on at South Carolina State and the basketball program from the 2 former coaches that sued the school for one for Title IX violations and the other for a lack of funding. Or that story, we just we just sweep that under the rug. Nobody really cares they're talking about that, but that may be a good reason why Matlock got out of there. He saw, if he didn't see it, he heard about it, and he was like, yeah, this Alabama State job opened up. I got to go apply for that. I got a chance to be in the SWAC. Hell, I'm gone. So congratulations to Coach Matlock. I mean, that's a big upgrade for I don't know if it's a big upgrade for Mo Williams, but it's a big upgrade for him. And I tell you, so good luck. Good luck. That's a good get for, look at that, Alabama State and Alabama A&M coming in with 2 good hires, man. I'm telling you. Gonna be interesting following the SWAC basketball.
Kind of like Grambling and Southern in football. The 2 rivals get new coaches in the same year.
Yeah. A lot of new faces in the SWAC for the 2022-23 seasons. A lot to talk about. All right, let's take a break, come back, get into a little talk about the draft. As the draft comes up, still want to hear your thoughts, guys, out there. You let us know. 4.5 is the number. Are you going over or under 4.5 HBCU players drafted this upcoming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Thursday's the first round. I believe round 2 and 3 are Friday, and then that leaves rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap. We'll be back right after these words.
One bite of 100% Angus beef ballpark frank, and you'll say, hello, summer. Oh, yeah, it's ballpark season.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
We're all about feeding your family with meat and plant-based protein that's good for the planet, good for you, and just plain good. That's all the protein you need, all on your plate.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Okay, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and AD here. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching us here. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're watching us on Facebook and on Twitter, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following us. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1. That's the number one. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app if you would. MyJBN, MyBCSN is where you can find us on Google and Apple Play Store. All right, Drew, I'll give you 3 minutes. Any comment on that you want to give regarding AD Gaucher resignation at FAMU? Because I don't want us to go over in this show, and we still got to talk about this draft. So I will turn it over to you if you have 3 minutes to talk about it.
Well, I've kind of already hit it, but I think the leak of the story about the violation of his contract with the signing of the media rights is a smokescreen for other things that may possibly been going on that upset some people within the ranks of the university. But here you have a young athletic director. All athletic directors are going to make mistakes. You have a young athletic director who may or may not have made mistakes. And because of that age gap between him and the people he was working with, may have led to some type of tensions within the ranks. But to AD Gaucher, many of athletic directors have left Florida A&M University and have gone on to have excellent careers in other places. So not gonna really get too deep into it on the who did what and whys and all that kind of stuff. That stuff may or may not eventually come out. But you know, as a alum, some of the things, some of the visions that he had were good. I like some of the transitions that he was trying to make. I think the executions of some of those ideas could have been better, but we can say that about a lot of different things. So uh, that's it. I'm not going to spend too much time belaboring this. I've talked about this on 2 or 3 other shows this week, so I'm not going to belabor it. Let's just support the new athletic director at Florida A&M University. Let's support Coach Simmons. Let's hope that whoever is chosen as the permanent athletic director will do what they have to do to keep Coach Simmons there at Florida A&M University, because that would be more devastating to athletics at Florida A&M losing Coach Simmons. They're losing our athletic director, and let's hope that the president and the board of trustees kind of and the athletic department can get on one page, because I think that's where a lot of this comes from. Everybody is not on the same page.
All right. Well said.
Before we get into that, I do want to throw a couple things out there on Facebook. Michael Road Dog Reed says, no one wants to see JSU dressed up looking like a Heinz bottle ketchup in Miami. That would only occur, Michael, if JSU wears the all red with the white helmets.
That's why I said wear blue
And
helmets. I didn't even recognize that, but yeah, you're right. You're right. They would look
yeah,
like a Heinz ketchup bottle in all red with the white helmets. Yeah, that's a good. That's a good one, Mike.
exactly. Especially if they throw some red cleats and red socks on. Anyway,
Oh,
Willie
jeez.
Bolden has 6 players that he thinks will be drafted. He's got Carter,
All
Williams,
right.
Bell, Durant, Houston, and Glass.
All right. Wait a minute. What are the 6 again?
Carter, Williams,
The
Bell,
Tyree Carter from Southern. Who else?
Williams,
Joshua Williams, Fayetteville State.
Bell, Marquise Bell,
Marquise. Go ahead. Keep going.
Jacoby Durant,
Jacoby Durant. Yep.
James Houston, and Aquia Glass.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. I like that 6. Okay. So here's the thing. What's interesting, and I've really just now started. A couple weeks ago, we had Emery Hunt on our show. If you guys, maybe we'll go ahead and replay that. Good stuff by Emery Hunt. If you're not familiar, at F Ball Game Plan. That's at F Ball Game Plan. He's scouting. He scouts, man. This guy, he does work. He has scouted. I bought his draft guide. Over 1,000 prospects graded, scouted, right? That's awesome. Now, I don't think Emory does a mock draft. So good for him. He probably didn't have time for it. But I'll tell you, the mock drafts I've started digging and going down the deep rabbit hole of looking at. Woo! Look, if that turns out to be true, we are going to be itching and complaining on Sunday's show about why so and so didn't get drafted and why this guy didn't get drafted, because among the 7 team, like I found 2 mock drafts, one from CBS Sports, one from the Sporting News, that did a 7 draft mock. And for CBS, they only had 2 guys get drafted, one in the 3rd, one in the 7th. That was Joshua Williams and Marquise Bell. Sporting News had 3 HBCU guys get drafted. Joshua Williams in the pick 127. That's probably about the 4th or 5th round. Marquise Bell in the 6th. Jacoby Durant in the 7th. Now, the NFL.com had a mock draft up, and it only went 4 rounds. The only player that I saw in those 4 rounds was Marquise Bell at pick 120. I say all that because it's interesting. I'm going to caution everybody again to say, don't get mad or don't get your hopes up when these teams don't draft us and they show us who they are. I'm just giving you a heads up. Expect minimal. So when I put out a line and say 4.5 HBCU guys, I'm going to say the over is like plus 225, and the under should be like minus 400. I mean, really. I'm just saying that because if I'm going off of mock drafts, right, that's probably a little high. So I would say minus 300 and maybe plus 225 or plus 150 if it goes over. What does that mean? That means bet on it going under 4.5. That's sad, but I'm just going off of mock drafts, right? And so when I look at mock drafts, what I see, Drew, is I see a lot of the same old. I see a lot, and I hope that scouts and scouting departments really found something when they really their mindset when these guys are at the combine, they're at the Legacy Bowl, when they went to Mississippi, when they went to A&M, wherever else they went to do pro days at these schools. I hope they really are evaluating and stacking guys up against one another, because the people who do mock drafts, obviously, they're just going off names. They just, biggest school, who's a Power 5 guy, let me put his name here in this spot. Because, and I say that because there are names that in Emory Hunt's draft guide, let's take Aqeel Glass for a second, Drew. He had Aqeel Glass rated as the number 12 quarterback. Okay, in the class of among about 50, 60 some odd different quarterbacks. His grade was equal to the following names, and pay attention because I guarantee you will hear these names called in the NFL draft. Carson Strong of Nevada, Matt Corral, Ole Miss, Sam Howell, North Carolina, Cole Kelly, Southeast Louisiana, Cody Pickett, Pittsburgh, right? Those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are 5 names right there that Emory has rated equal to Aqeel Glass, or in the case of Cody Pickett, he has Aqeel Glass rated higher than Cody Pickett. So what am I getting at, Drew? Pay attention to these guys that get drafted. They're saying how many quarterbacks could be drafted in the first round. The number right now is like 3.5. So they're saying 4 guys could get drafted in these. There's a lot of people thinking 4 quarterbacks could get drafted in the first round. There are some that think Cody Pickett could get drafted in the first round. That's amazing to me. But Aqeel Glass, Alabama A&M, unless somebody fell in love with him, seeing him, I don't know if he will, I think he could, I think he has the talent to get drafted in maybe the 4th, 5th round based on what teams like to do, and maybe try to say, hey, I got somebody that we can develop for the next 2 seasons, right? But will he get that opportunity? Will he be the first QB drafted since Tavares Jackson?
Tavares Jackson.
And he got drafted in what round back then? Do you recall?
It was a bit around. I don't remember what it was, like 3rd or 4th
Middle
round.
rounds. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So I just
I
think
think he was a
that'll
day
be
2.
real. Day 2 guy. Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see what happens with Aqeel Glass. And again, these mocks didn't even have Aqeel Glass, right? There's a great article that just came out, and we retweeted on the Black College Sports Network site. But Kyle Mosley, who works with HBCU Legends on part of Sports Illustrated and Emory, they did a mock draft, Drew, where they took basically if every team took an HBCU player in the first round, they did a mock draft. And so basically it's like, hey, all HBCU players NFL mock draft, pick 1 through 32. Did you get a chance to read this? Because if not, I can ask some
No, I did
questions
not.
of you. Okay,
No, I did not.
Jacksonville Jaguars with the first pick, their needs: defensive end, wide receiver, linebacker, O-line, defensive tackle, safety. Who do you think they chose first overall?
James Houston.
You're correct. You've read this, haven't you?
No, defensive end. Okay. I mean,
okay, yes. Yeah, James Houston, defensive end linebacker, was the number one guy that they selected. All right, number 2, Detroit Lions. Their needs: linebacker, quarterback, cornerback, wide receiver, defensive end. Number 2 pick overall.
Marquise Bell.
No, not Marquise. I'll give you one more pick.
Give me those positions again.
Linebacker, quarterback, cornerback, wide receiver, defensive end.
Was it Jacoby Durant?
It was Jacoby Durant. You're good at this, Drew. You're good at this.
Cornerback.
Yeah. Number 2 pick
Let's go
was
one more.
Jacoby Durant. One more. All right, here we go. Houston, Texas with the number 3 pick. Needs: quarterback, defensive end, offensive tackle, defensive tackle. Lovie Smith is the new head coach.
Go with the quarterback.
Damn, Drew, you're good at this. Yeah, that's right. Aqeel Glass. So, yeah, you're pretty good at this. So, that's a fun read. If you guys want to go check that out, go check out on HBCU Legends. It's a real fun draft. But I saw that, Drew, and I'm thinking, wow, 32 players that they did a mock draft. That means the talent is there. The talent is there, right?
Right.
32 guys. I thought that was awesome, man. That's a good read. Go ahead. That warmed my heart. And then I read those mock drafts, and then I got frustrated again.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Brian, we've got this number set at 4.5. I think we all think the locks are going to be Bell, Houston, and why am I drawing a blank right now, Brian?
What school? Williams from Fayetteville?
No.
Jacoby Durant?
Houston,
Carter from Southern?
Yeah, Carter. That's what I'm thinking. Carter.
Oh, Tyree Carter.
Yes. I'm thinking those are the 3 that people are kind of thinking of the locks. Williams from Fayetteville is kind of the X factor, the next one. I think followed by Durant, and the last one will be Glass. Here's my thing, Brian. If these guys are not day 2 picks, is it better for them to be a day 3 pick or UDFA? Because as a UDFA, because sometimes if you, especially if you're a 7th round pick, you're not necessarily drafted for need. You drafted the best available or the best athlete still left on the board. And it's very easy to get drafted by the wrong team, get lost in the shuffle, get cut, not get any good film, and you're playing in the USFL or XFL instead of having a legitimate chance, or going to Canada instead of having a legitimate chance of making a team. That's why I say it may be better if you're a day 3 pick to be a UDFA. Number 1. Let's take Aqeel Glass. I think there are 4 situations where Aqeel Glass could possibly make a team. Mm-hmm. Those 4 are Houston, like you just said.
Yep.
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Minnesota. And Seattle. Mm-hmm. I think if he winds up at one of those 4 teams, either via the draft or UDFA, he will have a legitimate chance of making those 4 teams. As obviously as a number 3 for right now. Probably won't dress on game day. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give you a dark horse. I'm gonna give you a dark horse because we have a history, and I'm talking the Colts. We have a history of drafting HBCU guys. Obviously, you go back Robert Mathis, who's there
Right.
coaching, I believe. We've obviously got the defensive lineman from Albany State, and then we've got Leonard, the linebacker. So we've
Darius
got a
Leonard.
pair of Darius Leonard and Stewart, Grover Stewart, the defensive lineman from Albany State. So we've got a couple HBCU guys. You got a Matt Ryan who, look, you're trying to groom guys behind Matt Ryan 2, 3, let's say 3 years down the road. Yeah. Why not take a chance on a guy? I've seen mock drafts that have had guys like Carson Strong from Nevada. Now I'm not gonna lie, I would be real excited if the Colts lucked into Cole Kelly, because again, having seen him go up again, he's got intangibles. His running ability at 6'7", he reminds me of a Josh Allen type when I see Cole Kelly from Southeast Louisiana. So that's the only person that I would say, hey, if the Colts get an opportunity to draft him over Aqeel Glass, I would take Cole Kelly. But other than that, I'm saying, look, if it came down to Aqeel Glass versus a Carson Strong from Nevada, I'd rather see us take a Glass. I'd rather see us take Glass. So that's the dark horse I would throw. But that's good though. I like what you said. That's Houston, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Seattle, and there's
And then you threw an
there's
Indian there.
yeah. That's a good 5 teams that I think would be a good fit for him to get in there and then grow. So your group, are you going over or under the 4.5 getting drafted?
The HBCU and B goes over. The wallet in B goes under. Like I said,
Yeah.
I think we've got three. I think we got three lock. Like I said, I think Houston and Bell are definite locks. But Williams and Carter, they are kind of there. Kobe Durant is kind of a niche player, in my opinion. Does that team really need somebody? The thing is how a team slotted to Kobe Durant. Are they slotting him as an outside guy or a nickel guy?
Well,
That's what's
actually,
going
it's
to
funny you say
determine
that.
that's what's going to determine if Kobe Durant gets drafted.
Emory Hunt has him rated as the number 2 slot cornerback,
which is a nickel guy.
Yeah, so he has him rated as the number 2 guy, the number cornerback. Now, again, Joshua Williams. Now, when we talk about the kid, he calls them boundary cornerbacks. This kid, Elam from Florida, and Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. Joshua Williams, he has rated number 5 behind those two. And so those are names. I found it interesting. Let me give you a name that you might want to pay attention to. Among combo safeties, he has the kid from Michigan rated 1. He has Marquise Bell rated 11th. But what I found interesting is rated at number 4, Elvin De La Rosa of Fayetteville State. He has rated as number 4. So he has him rated higher than Marquise Bell as a combo safety. So if we're thinking that Bell is getting drafted, if we're thinking Durant getting drafted, if we're thinking Williams is getting drafted, you might have to consider this kid Elvin De La Rosa as possibly having an opportunity to get drafted. Now, I don't have all the numbers. I got to go find their combine numbers because I think a lot of times I'm hearing combo numbers, combine, not combo, combine numbers are what really kind of set guys apart. And so, like, for example, in the free safety position, I'm hearing the kid from Notre Dame, Kyle Hamilton, being yeah, he's a first round talent, but I'm seeing people say he's outside of the top 10 because he ran a slow 40 time. You know, he's coming off an injury, ran a slow 40 time. So what does that mean? You know, so basically that tells me that are these people paying attention to numbers, you know, the statistics, or are they watching the film? Offensive lineman, you mentioned Carter from Southern. Watch out for the two FAMU offensive linemen too. And I mean, not trying to be a homer here, but you know, in that mock draft that they came up with, that Kyle and Emery did, the New York Jets, they had taking offensive lineman Jay Jackson Williams, offensive lineman. You know, 6'4", 305, 85-inch wingspan. I mean, that's, as they say here, prototypical NFL offensive left tackle measurements. So,
Anything on any
you know,
Jermaine Martin or any running backs or receivers? Any numbers
I
on any of those?
the receivers, I'm trying to go. I don't think I saw the receivers that I see. You start with D. Anderson. D. Anderson, because of his size, I think he's like 6'6", if I'm not mistaken. D. Anderson was one of the names they had in here. Let me see. The running backs, I don't think I saw any running backs. Keith Corbin, the third from Jackson State, is another running back, but there's so many doggone good running backs in the. I mean, and think about this: running backs are so devalued in the NFL.
A
I
dime a
mean,
dozen.
man, they're a dime a dozen. Good. I mean, God bless these guys. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for Ezra Gray, Jameis Martin, Khalil, who's a little back from Bowie State. Was it Khalil Watkins? It's going to be tough for those guys to find a spot, you know. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to see what happens. All right. So, any final thoughts, Drew, as we get ready to close up the show?
No, Brian. Just gonna be a great week coming up this week. Road to Montgomery will be on this Wednesday, so we'll get to see who the teams are in the Tyson Foods Black College World Series. So that's what I'm looking forward to there, Brian.
Okay, and that'll be show number 3 airing on Wednesday, Wednesday evening, probably about 6:30, 6:45.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6:30. No, 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. 6 o'clock Eastern time, 5 Central. That's when the Road to Montgomery will air. You can also catch Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Tuesday night, 7 p.m., 6 Central. Don't forget the OG Strike Zone comes on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. That's going to do it. The draft is on Thursday, first round. And then day 2, third and fourth round, or second and third round action on Friday night, and then we get into Saturday. So the line is set at 4.5. Let's hope that it goes over, but don't be surprised if it falls under. So good luck to all the guys that are going to be up to be drafted, and we hope that we hear some familiar names called that played their college careers at HBCUs. For our producer Roy and AD Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. Thanks for watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. You guys be good, be safe, take care of each other out there, and we'll see you again soon. Peace out.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.